Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures. You're probably looking at your screen and going, why is he showing us more of his weird Nihilak boomer bubblegum crisis style Necrons? Because didn't he already show us those? Well, yeah, I did, but they're only there to prove a point, which I will prove shortly. If you've heard me pining nostalgically for some kind of opponent to go with all of these boomer looking Necrons, and if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, boomers, I mean combat boomers from Bubblegum Crisis, the classic, what was it, late 80s, early 90s OVA series with the Night Saber girls in their cool looking powered Sentai combat armor suits. Anyways, grew up watching that. Always thought the designs were super cool looking and have long wanted to have a set on the tabletop. Now, a couple of companies have started putting out some models that are suspiciously similar to that, and I jumped at the first one I had a chance to grab. And not to say that any of the other ones out there are any better or worse, but this is the first ones that I grabbed, and that's only because I had access to the 3D printer. Cyberpunk seems to be the next up-and-coming genre when it comes to 3D printing Patreon models out there. Slowly but surely, we're starting to see a few more of them crop up, but the first, and most would probably argue one of the best, is Papsikels Miniatures. And thankfully, Papsicle must have heard my pleas to the tabletop gaming gods, and lo and behold, we have now a set of, well, in my case, very poorly cleaned models, but they are absolutely going to work as Night Sabers with some cool looking cybernetic bases. So these models were all one piece as opposed to the base. I had a bit of a hard time figuring out which model was supposed to go on which base. I did have to go back and check. I would have primed these prior to filming these, but unfortunately, I am completely out of primer, and I do not plan to go to the hobby shop anytime soon. It might be a little artifact I need to clean up. Despite my poor printing job, the detail is absolutely there, and very much inspired by the classic designs. I say inspired by, there are a few little differences. I know my brother, who has a much more discerning eye for that type of thing, was able to point them out to me. I believe these are closer to the 2040 OVA designs as opposed to the original 80s OVA, but I could be wrong on that regard. But absolutely super excited to have these on my table. For the most part, I didn't have really any errors printing them except for, I want to say this is supposed to be Sylvia Stingray, if I remember correctly. For whatever reason, her foot did not want to print out correctly, and I'm going to have to put some green stuff in there, obviously, to fill that spot. Otherwise, everything was fine around that. I know we've been having roving power shutdown issues in our area because it's been so ungodly hot at the moment, which is, something we usually get around this time of year in Southern California, but yeah, I'm wondering if that might have been the issue, but everybody else seemed to have printed okay. How do they look size-wise? Well, because that's the important question, right? You guys know by now I always print everything at regular size, however the artist intended, and I think they're going to fit in pretty well. So if you wanted to go and use these in, say, a Sister's Army or some kind of Necromunda type thing, that was my first thought, is they're going to be running around in the Underhive. So I went ahead and grabbed a Necromunda model as well. Obviously, they are in power armor, and they've got giant heels on, so there is, not surprisingly, a little bit of a height difference there. But they do stack up pretty well to a lot of the other 3D printable sci-fi and cyberpunk models out there right now. Grabbing a couple other models from various sources. This is from Papsicle as well. Now, it probably would help if I bothered to put everybody on the same style of base, but I don't. So you'll see here, I think this is a mixture of Unit 9 and Titan Forge's Cyberforge line and Papsicle, and yeah, here we have a Anvil Industry, or Digital Anvil, or Anvil Forge, or I forget what they call it now, but yeah, I think in some kind of an underhive, nitty-gritty cyberpunk or post-apocalyptic setting, these ladies would work fantastic. And the best part is I've already got myself a nice set of pre-built and pre-painted adversaries for them to fight. And I think it gives me a great excuse to finally get around to building and showing off all of my shantytown battle systems terrain, which I have been absolutely dreading for the longest time to show off on camera because it's such an awfully huge pile and it just absolutely overwhelms me. But just for completionist's sake, if you are curious about these ladies, I definitely suggest you do take a look at the Papsikels Patreon, but the most important model is that of a true survivor. Oh yes. So if you ever wanted to have, Kung Fury on your tabletop fighting combat synthetic androids with powered armor ladies, I don't think you can really go wrong with a combination like that. Do take a look. There is all kinds of cool stuff at Papsikels, and hopefully we've been told that we will get actual legitimate boomer-style combat mechanoid people in the near future as well. So I'm eagerly looking forward to that. With that said, we'll put a link down below, and hopefully you guys are going to have a chance to check that out. Like I said, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching. We'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye!